Zuma must go. The downgrade that has been caused by Zuma is an assault on the poor. If you have a job today, the security of that job has gone out of the window. Business confidence has dropped, which means therefore that there's going to be reduced investment and therefore no new jobs. Unemployment will increase, workers will be retrenched, factories will be shut down.
Sipho Pityana is better known as a formidable businessman and has also served extensively in government. But it was his blunt, poignant criticism of the Zuma administration that thrust Pityana into the limelight. Now, with President Jacob Zuma gone, Pityana has taken over the reins at Business Unity South Africa. Will he improve business relations with government, or will it be more of the same? Business collecting profits while the rest of the country is being left out? Well, these are some of the questions we'll be answering tonight. My name is Vuyo Mvoko, and this is our nightly look at South Africa under the Ramaphosa administration. This is As It Happens. Mr. Pityana, apparently your strong sense of civic duty is what really persuaded Business Unity South Africa members to elect you as their president.
Well, I'm pleased to hear that, because I can't imagine that the business of business is business given the kind of situation that we are facing. We have to be responsible corporate citizens. There are huge challenges that face the country. The large numbers of people who are marginalized, and those that are doing well feel that they can proceed with life as if business as usual. I think that we are placed in a situation where we have to work with our partners in government, trade union movement, civil society generally, to find solutions to bring everybody to the party.
But where would you, what is your sense of where those relations are and whether, in fact, all these constituencies are working towards a common goal?
Well, we're not working towards a common goal. We have highly antagonistic relations. We have quite fractious inter-constituency relations and intra-constituency relations. The difficulty, of course, is that the nation is looking for answers. And unless we can find a way to quickly get to a common ground, the country is going to be in a very difficult situation. It is urgent that we deal with issues of high levels of unemployment and underperforming economy, and hostile investor and investment environment in South Africa, large numbers of marginalized people who don't feel and don't see that there is any hope for them. We have an economy that has fantastic infrastructure and key elements that could position itself to address those challenges. So we need to get together and find that common ground.
Why is it so difficult to find this common ground? And I'm saying this on the back of institutions like NEDLAC, yes, which are supposed to help foster the good relations, the ideal relations we need between the various constituencies, business, labor, government, and civil society. And fortunately, I'm saying this to someone who is also a founder of NEDLAC.
Well, to be fair, NEDLAC has actually struck a number of agreements. We have a labor relations environment that many in various parts of the world consider to be world-class and modern, and it's one that most investors that look to come to any economy can relate to, collective bargaining systems, procedures of settling disputes. They might argue that aspects of it are rigid, but certainly appreciate that there is a discernible set of environment to do business. We have agreements around trade issues, we have agreements around a whole range of issues. So NEDLAC has earned its stripes, and I think that we should be encouraging it to do more of that. But we need to get in NEDLAC senior leadership, as we did when the institution was started, to show that this is the body that we rely on to do that. And the agreements that we reach in NEDLAC, Parliament must endorse, because they carry a weight of negotiations that have happened. The reason why we have such intractable problems is that the reality of the matter is that such growth as we had in the recent period has not been inclusive. A lot of people have been left out, and that's why, as part of business reflection, there's an appreciation that growth on its own is not sufficient, but we need to be quite deliberate about ensuring that it is inclusive and it benefits beyond just the obvious people that have benefited in the past.
Before we get to your latter points, I just want to take a step back to your analysis of why it is, yes, in spite of all the good that it has done, but why it is, or what has eroded over the years, NEDLAC's capacity and ability to do what it could have done.
Well, some people argue that there's been what they call juniorization of NEDLAC. In other words, you send junior people to the organization to negotiate difficult issues. One of the most recent compacts that we've reached in NEDLAC, by the way, is the revised labor stability agreements, which has seen amendments to the Labor Relations Act, and also the minimum wage.
Government unions are unhappy.
Well, that's true. A lot of business people are unhappy with the minimum wage. So, and that's in the nature of the negotiations, as parties will be unhappy about something or the other. And if one party is happy about everything, it does suggest that there's been very little compromise. So it is the nature of negotiations that you don't get everything out of it. One of the reasons why that was successful is because the parties involved there were very senior. Government was led by no less a person than the deputy president of the country, now the president of the country. I was part of that as part of the business delegation, including people like Sim Chawalala and others. And you also had senior leadership from the trade union movement, general secretary, president of the unions. So you had a very high level participation. That's where NEDLAC started. It's not surprising that we had this agreement with all the shortcomings that it has. It is one that parties are agreed to and will build on it as the time goes on. Of course, none of this, I mean, the minimum wage agreement is a starting point. There will be a lot of investigation and research around certain aspects of it and look to improve it. But it does signal that as society, we think that people earning less than 1,000 rand a month is not sustainable. We need to lift that to about 3,500 rand a month and find ways of ensuring that the economy can manage with that.
What has been the role of politics, would you say, in bringing things to where they are at the moment? In other words, less than ideal.
Well, what we've seen in the past 10 years or so, I mean, the Zuma era has been a particular nightmare for the country across the board. What it has done is that it has created very opportunistic political behavior and very erratic sloganeering that is not helping in building social cohesion. So it has polarized society, and we now need to do the job of going back to look at what exactly is our agenda.
Well, before you get to what is our agenda, I just want to you to expand on that point, which you say was created by the Zuma administration, because yes, he was the leader, of the executive, but you had other constituencies. You had the legislature, for example, parliament, that often was found wanting.
Yes.
Also, you had business, which also didn't show leadership. Look at what is happening in the mining industry. You happen to be a chairperson, of a mining company. You look at the debts that are going on. So, at other levels, there was or seems to have been a lack of leadership where it matters as well.
Well, I'd like to come back to the issue on what's happening in the mining industry and the fatalities and so on. But the truth of the matter is this, that I'm on record as having said this, and I would restate it. Across the board, at political party level, ANC dropped the ball, and that impacted across the various institutions of government because it has been a dominant party in parliament, in various institutions. People who are appointed in those come from that political party, and they felt that to keep and hold their positions, they had to sing the tune of the leader in power. And that's why this has had such a pervasive effect. It also impacted business because, you know, what some people don't know is that sometimes business went out of its way, not because it was required for them to do so, to get the concurrence and sometimes the consent of government on decisions that they were taking. And this is not because there is any requirement anywhere for them to do so.
So why did they do it? Why did they do it? Because you've had, for instance, the one arm of the state, which is the judiciary, doing its job, most people approving. Why couldn't, you know, business leadership do the right thing and forget about seeking, you know, the approval of politicians?
Because
what they had to do.
Because if you go back to the history of business in this country, it has survived and lived through sucking up to the state that has always been a very powerful presence in any corporate environment. Government is either a customer or a regulator or a partner of sorts of one kind or another with business. So the engagement in that relationship oftentimes has been one of seeking to collaborate and not offend and not and sometimes go out of your way to make sure that you please. But I think we're woken up out of our slumber in the recent period, and that's why business has been quite vocal in the last 2-3 years of the Zuma administration, because the hurt on businesses arising from all of what was happening was so patent. I mean, if you look at the manufacturing sector, despite the policy environment that is there that gives preferential procurement to local businesses, actually factories were closing down because state-owned entities were procuring from outside, and other similar decisions. So business was as much responsible in some instances for what was happening because it either collaborated or it didn't speak out, or it was complicit in one way or another. But admirably, like others, rose up in the last 2-3 years of the Zuma administration.
Okay. So, Pityana, we're going to take a quick ad break. As it happens, continues right after this.